And we'd like to move towards the uncovered. And the holy name is the prescribed means for us. There isn't anything better. There isn't even, for that matter, in this age of Kali, anything else. If there's something else, it's to be combined with the holy name. This is Jiva Goswami's teaching in Bhakti Sandarbha. Anything else, even in the realm of devotional service, what to speak of other austerities and sacrifices and mystic yoga and anything else, must be combined with the holy name to be effective. And there's a long section in Bhakti Sandarbha about that. So we're at the epicenter, we're at the essence. The essence is the name. So today, this whole Japa retreat function is an opportunity to extend our faculty of awareness towards the pure holy name and take shelter there. As Sri Vrindavan was very nicely, thoroughly, comprehensively explaining yesterday. It was a nice class, right? He's a powerful speaker. So this morning it's just focusing on names of Krishna, because the holy name is everything. And one of the literatures that guides the life of Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Vaishnavas in particular, is Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas. It's in the process of being translated into English from Sanskrit. It was published, you could say, by Sanatana Goswami. And in that Hari Bhakti Vilas, it's a manual that says how to do everything that a Vaishnava does, all the ceremonies, just like the yajna yesterday, and deity worship, and observing Ekadasi, and how to get married, and it's a how-to manual. And one of the how-to sections is how to chant mantra. So a clear recommendation in mantra chanting in Hari Bhakti Vilas is to meditate on the meaning of the mantra. And it's not like you got a binary thing going over here. You're paying attention to the meaning instead of to the name, but it's to connect the name and the meaning of the name. It's a meditation process recommended in Hari Bhakti Vilas. So that's the focus this morning, the meaning or meanings of Krishna's holy names. For example, we know that in Bhagavad Gita, almost for certain everybody here has studied Bhagavad Gita. So in chapter 1, there's different names that Arjuna uses to address Krishna. And Prabhupada takes the time to explain. Rishikesha means this, and Adhoksaja means that. And there's because within the name, there's some particular aspect of Krishna or potencies of Krishna within the name. Yes? Oh. When we're calling names, our primary mantra is this Maha Mantra. But just, again, this morning when greeting the deities, this Yasamati Nandana, there's names and there's meanings of names, primary and secondary names and so forth. So, being conscious of the meaning, we'll speak certainly about the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the meaning of Krishna's name, but there's other names of Krishna. For example, Janardana. Janardana is the name that refers to Krishna as Supersoul, the Lord of the Heart. And it's not just the Lord of the Heart, but it's the form of Vishnu, who is the abode. This is directly Prabhupada's translation of Janardana, the abode, the protector, and maintainer of all living beings. So the image is both the spiritual and the material world, that Janardana, as Supersoul, has another appearance in the Vaikuntha planets in Goloka. The Vaikuntha planet maintainer is Lord Narayana, and the Goloka planet maintainer is Krishna. But Janardana refers to that aspect where he is the abode, he's the protector, and he's the maintainer of all living entities. Another name of Krishna is Yogeshwara, the Ishwara of mystic yoga. So if some mystic yogi has some power, where does he derive that power from? Independently? Or from Yogeshwara, who's the master of all mysticism? That's Krishna. In the next to the last chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, the statement is there. When people properly glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead or simply hear about his power, Yogeshwara, the Lord personally enters their hearts and cleanses away every trace of misfortune, just as the sun removes the darkness or as a powerful wind drives away the clouds. These are meditations as we're going along with our 64-round day, however many you end up chanting today. This is the potencies as described here, describing or just hearing about, very powerful. And chanting the name, even if one doesn't know the meaning, the power is there. And meditating on the meaning, it's like this example yesterday, like a magnifying glass that takes the power of the sun and makes fire. Yashoda Nandana, he's the Nandana of Yashoda, the darling son. It's a beautiful painting, huh? I remember when Muralidhar first made this painting. Ooh. We've seen many paintings of Yasoda and Krishna, but somehow this is special. Yasoda Nandana. These are now, that one and this one, these are primary names we mentioned yesterday. Secondary names, when called or heard, they bring liberation at once. And the primary names have the potency to carry one to the stage of Krishna Prema as found in Braja Prema. Gopal, another beautiful painting. Krishna, playing upon his flute, charming the cowherd boys and the cows and all living entities as he's the Pala, the protector of the cows, Gopala. And then there's Achyuta. Achyuta meaning he's infallible. Now, this can be a secondary, or for the devotees it can be primary, because when we hear Achyuta, Lord of Vaikuntha is also, or Lord Vishnu is infallible. He can't fall. Living entities are Achyuta, and the Lord is Achyuta. But he's eternally in the spiritual world, even when he comes to this world, as his form of Vishnu entering every atom or within every universe, or as he comes within the universe and performs his pastimes. The meaning is this Achyuta. The painting on the right, that's Gopakumar, who is now being reunited with the Lord of his life, Achyuta. His mantra was the Gopal mantra, but the Lord of his life. And in the upper left corner, that's Gopakumar receiving the mantra from his spiritual master, Jana Sharma. Down at the bottom left, that's Narada Muni giving instructions to Dhruva about the process of achieving perfection along with mantra, so that he can achieve the shelter of the infallible Supreme Lord. Then Ajita. Ajita is different than Jitta. The living entity is Jitta. We can be conquered, and Ajita can never be conquered. There's a nice description of this Ajita. It's used in the Bhagavatam in the 12th canto. This is Sutta Goswami describing Shukadev Goswami. We see on the right-hand side that Shukadev Goswami, who's passing by a bathing place. Over on the left-hand side, that's his father, Vyasa. But after hearing, although he was Brahman realized, hearing the topics of Ajita, he left the Brahman happiness in favor of service to Ajita. So this is the Bhagavatam verse. Although in the beginning Shukadev Goswami was absorbed in the happiness of Brahman realization and was living in a secluded place, giving up all other types of consciousness, he is fixed, not attracted to worldly, totally immersed in transcendental, but he became attracted by the pleasing, most melodious pastimes of Ajita, or Lord Sri Krishna. The painting, this is Krishna showing to Lord Brahma the fact that the cowherd boys were but manifestations of him. And the manifestations of him for each of the calves and cowherd boys were forms of Lord Narayan, surrounded by all devas and personified Vedas and so on. His potencies are unlimited. Ajita. Another name, Purushottama. Purusha means the Supreme Lord, or generically it can mean person, like living entities are also sometimes identified by that term, Purusha. Imitation Purushas, but Purusha. And he's the Uttama Purusha, or Purushottama, the greatest of all persons. Here Krishna is accepting as queens the 16,100 princesses that were kidnapped by Bhaumasura. And after finishing Bhaumasura, they turned to Krishna, who will have us as wives now that we've been in the captivity of Bhaumasura? Please marry us all. So Krishna said yes. They made the marriage proposal. And he said yes. Who can do that? He's Purusha Uttama, Purushottama. Rishi Kesha. Again, this can be a secondary name indicating that the master, the Isha of Rishika, the senses, master of the senses. But in Vrindavan, you see way over to the left, it's Krishna at Vangshivat, and he's calling the gopis by playing upon his flute, and so powerful was the sound of Krishna's flute that they didn't have to choose anything. They were just like drawn by force, like iron filings to a magnet. They didn't have to consider anything. They were just completely swept by the sound of Krishna's flute to come and join him in rasa dance. So Krishna, who directs the senses, this is Prabhupada's definition. The controller of the senses is more common, but this is the Lord who directs the senses of the devotees. Madhava. Madhava is a name of Krishna that means the husband of the goddess of fortune. Now, we know from Brahma Samhita, each of the gopis, their expansions, like the goddess of fortune, are expansions. Each one of the gopis, they're expansions of Radha, who is the supreme goddess of fortune. There's a nice image of Madhava in Mayapur. And in Houston, there's Neela Madhava, names of Krishna, the husband of the goddess of fortune. And Varshneya, the primary names, according to according to Harinam Chintamani, they're names of Krishna in his relationship with his devotees. So, in the line of Vrishni, it's a previous king to Vasudeva, pictured here as Vasudeva and Devaki. Vasudeva was in that line of Vrishni, the Vrishni dynasty, and so one of Krishna's names is Varshneya, he who appears in the line of Vrishni, a descendant of Vrishni. Yadava, similarly, in the Yadu dynasty, he's Yadavaya, Madhavaya, Keshavaya, Namaha, in the line of Yadu. And Vasudeva, because his father's name, pictured here carrying Krishna across the river Jamuna, the very night that Krishna made his appearance, was Vasudeva. So the son of Vasudeva is called Vasudeva. And then there's Keshava. That's not a secondary name, that's a primary name. Krishna, who has fine, long, black hair, Keshava. So Yadavaya, Madhavaya, Keshavaya, Namaha. Madhusudana, that's Krishna, or Vishnu, who finished off both Madhu and Kaitaba because they stole the Vedas from Brahma. And when Brahma appealed to Vishnu, help, they stole the Vedas and they'll do bad things with the Vedas, help. So Vishnu made his appearance and finished Madhu and Kaitaba and gave the Vedas back to Brahma. Adi Sudana. So he's the killer of Adis, or demons, enemies, pictured here of various pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, where Krishna is finishing various demons. In the bottom, he doesn't finish Kaliya, because Kaliya, he becomes a devotee. He was just contaminated by pride. So Krishna removed his pride. He subdued the pride of Kaliya, and he became a nice devotee. But the other ones, Krishna finished. And one of them was Keshi, the horse demon. So Krishna, who kills Keshi, the Keshi demon. Then ones were more accustomed to singing. You see Radha Shama Sundara. You'll see a nice picture of them in a moment. Govinda. when Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill, part of the pastime was checking the pride of Indra, but another really important part of the Govardhan pastime was he was fulfilling a desire of the residents of Vrindavan that they wanted uninterrupted association with Krishna. So for 7 days and 7 nights, they had his personal association. No interruption, no napping, no prasadam, no answering the call of nature. They just were with Krishna. So Krishna is Govinda, the giver of pleasure to the senses, but he's also the giver of pleasure to the cows. Go can mean senses, or go can mean cows. It's a lovely painting, isn't it? Krishna loves the cows, and the cows love Krishna. So much so that the planet of Krishna is named after the cows. Go Loka. I had this discussion one time with a student at Washington University that was brought up in a Christian Scientist family. Maybe some of you have heard what that is. So we had some nice discussion. What does Krishna science say about spiritual truth? And what, comparatively, what does Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic text say about spiritual truth? In the course of that discussion, I asked, when you become perfected Christian Scientist, what's the goal? What happens? What's the ultimate goal? And the answer was, you go to God. So I asked, what's it like? When you go to God, what's it like? What's the travel advertisement? And she said, I don't know if anybody knows. I said, well, how do you know then? I mean, and what's to encourage you to go there? I shared with her that when I was small, once upon a time I was small, little boy, I asked, what's it like? What's heaven like when you go there? What's it like? Or the kingdom of God. There was no distinction between the two. No one had anything to say. So I said, you know what? The Vedas describe the kingdom of God. And it's distinct from heaven, because heaven is created and after some time is destroyed, but the kingdom of God is eternal. She said, I never heard that before. So, and what's it like? The description is there of what the heavenly planets are like. And not only that, above the heavenly planets, there's Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka, and beyond that is the kingdom of God. And you don't want to know what that's like? There's a whole chapter, description of the kingdom of God. And within that spiritual realm, there's a planet where Krishna resides. It is called Goloka. And literally that means planet of the cows. She said, no. I said, why no? Well, you can't have cows in the kingdom of God. I said, no, wait a minute. Not cows like here. These are transcendental. Surabhi cows. These are Surabhi cows. And I described Surabhi cows. She said, I'll have to think about it. I said, you won't understand it just by thinking about it. Because how are you going to know one way or the other? This is persons who have, there's descending knowledge from the spiritual realm that comes to this realm. Just like you got your cell phone, and somebody's over there, and there's a transmitter in their little device, and then it bounces off the satellite, comes over here, and you got a signal that says what's over there. You don't know what's over there, but there's a signal over there, and it's coming over to your phone. How do you know? Because the sound vibration, that's how you know. And the Vedic wisdom is passed on the same way, through sound vibration. That's how we know. And otherwise you won't know. It won't just like, I'll think about it. You'll reach a conclusion by thinking about it. But through the process of, just as we've been saying, apashat purusham purnam, the Vyas, if you remember from the other day, Vyasa, under the instruction of Narada, he samyak pranihate amale. He fixed his mind. He didn't come to a Japa retreat, but he nonetheless fixed his mind, because he knew the art of how to do so, upon the absolute truth, and he saw the absolute truth in full, Purusham Purnam. He saw the whole spiritual world. And then he describes it in the Bhagavatam. So how are we going to know what the spiritual world is like? It's through sound vibration, and everything is there. This is the theme for this retreat. Within the name is everything. Yes? Within Krishna is everything, and Krishna is not different than his name, so within the name is everything. So we don't have to just say, I'll think about it. We have some distance to go for our consciousness that's now, our cheta, our consciousness, is now covered to become uncovered. But the methodology, the medicine for curing the disease of material existence is the name. That's the prescription. That's the doctor's prescription. We have the Kali Yuga disease. And the prescription, the medicine, is the name. And then from the name, all varieties of other services, but resting upon the name. So we all do so many things. We all have different abilities and whatever, gifts from Krishna, different natures, different personalities. That's fantastic. Variety is fantastic. And it's all to bring pure consciousness is the name. There's other things we can do that can help the name. The essence is the name. We have that opportunity. So we're being invited in Hari Bhakti Vilas to meditate on the meanings, to bring our consciousness to the name and the meaning of the name. This is another very nice image, a B.G. Sharma painting, where there's Krishna with the cow in the front, and it looks like Krishna with the cow in the back, crawling, taking milk from the udder of the cow. And in Goloka, the planet of cows, where the principal means of livelihood is the occupation of cow protection, as well as agriculture. Krishi Goraksha, Vanijam, Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. So there's a nice image of Govinda. There's that Govinda was in New York. This is Govinda in Jaipur, the original Govindaji deity that Rupa Goswami worshipped. And before him, Vajranabha installed in honor of Krishna's living in Vrindavan, performing pastimes in Vrindavan as Govinda, the giver of pleasure to the senses and to the cows. Very beautiful deity. Very merciful deity as well. Krishna. This name Krishna is, in Prabhupada's words, the best name of Krishna, because anything that we may be attracted to anywhere, the mind goes to something that's attractive, and Krishna is the all-attractive. He's the reservoir of all attractiveness. And he's attractive to not only to cows, but to the whole of Vrindavan. And his attractive flute playing charms the hearts of not just the gopis or the gopas, but all living entities, the peacocks and the trees and the creepers, and detailed whole section of the Bhagavatam on the charming attraction of Krishna's flute playing. Here's Baladev Vidyabhusan's commentary from Vishnu Sahasranam. This is within Mahabharata, and one of the names in the 1,000 names of Vishnu is Krishna. And here's his commentary. The syllable Krish means existence. And the syllable Na means bliss. The combination of these two is Krishna, the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, his commentary is taken directly from the Upanishads, Gopal Tapani Upanishad. So, Krish means existence. Often it means attract, but existence. And the syllable Na, bliss. Jiva Goswami comments, when the word Krishna is uttered in a mantra, the very moment the first syllable is vibrated, this sound attracts the attention of Lord Krishna himself. So, profound meditation when you're chanting. So, supposing you chant 64 rounds. Some will chant less, some will chant more. Supposing you chant 64 rounds. Every time you say Krish, you'll say it a lot of times, whatever the number is. A lot of times. Krishna is attracted. The attention of Krishna is attracted. When meditating on that fact, it will help inspire you to not be inattentive, because even Krishna is being attentive. I have found this message serves as a great support for many people in their feedback session at the end, which we'll do later this afternoon, what your experience was like. This is a common item that is very powerful. It helps support your attentiveness, knowing that Krishna is attentive when you call even the first syllable of his name. Please be attentive to Krishna as he's being attentive to your chanting of his name. Here's from Uddhava Gita. Krishna is seated there. Uddhava is at his feet in Dwarka. My dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. Such purifying association brings me under the control of my devotee. Now, it certainly looks like Krishna is not under the control of Uddhava. It looks the other way around. But Krishna becomes so affectionate to his devotees like Uddhava and other loving devotees that Uddhava has no other attachment for objects of material sense gratification, and Krishna places himself lovingly under the care and even under the control of his devotee. Then Shamsundara, the form of Krishna that's Shama, that's blackish like a monsoon cloud, and whose form is Sundara, very beautiful. And of course, Radha. Along with Shamasundara, they're never alone. And there's Radha Shamasundara in Vrindavan. And here's Radha Shamasundara right here with us in central New Jersey. So, Radha Shamasundara. Now we're almost done. This is very sweet, beautiful appreciation of names, along with Shamsundara's Radha. Mix the delicious nectar of the name Radha with the wonderfully sweet condensed milk of the name Krishna. Add the fragrant ice of pure love and drink this elixir at every moment. There's poetry for you. There's Raghunath Das Goswami at the bottom in the painting, And he's so absorbed in chanting the Maha Mantra that it's two incidents in one painting, but by the side of Radha Kund, he was so absorbed in chanting, he didn't even notice that two lions came to drink water. They didn't bother him, and after drinking water, they left, because there was a time when Radha Kund was like a jungle. Now it's not like that. And on another occasion, it was the heat of the midday summer, and the sun was baking, burning the body of Raghunath Das. And so, but he was oblivious. He was so absorbed in chanting. So Radharani came and covered the hot rays of the sun with her upper garment. And as the sun then subsided in its heat, she withdrew herself and went away. So dear was Raghunath Das to the holy name, and the holy name dear to Raghunath Das, that these amazing events took place right in Vrindavan. Finally, Narottam Das Thakur, we heard the song of Narottam, Hari Hari Bipale, the first evening, Friday evening. Here's one of his glorifications. Oh, brother, if you chant the names of Krishna, Radhika, being pleased with you, will bless you in many ways. And if you chant the names of Radha, Krishna will be pleased and fulfill your innermost desires. This instruction is the essence of all advice, beyond which there is nothing, and by which all troubles fly away from your heart. If you hear other words to the contrary, ignore them, for they will bring only misery and sorrow. So when we're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare indicates Radha. It's the vocative of Hara, another name of Radha. And the vocative becomes Hare. So we're calling, as Narottam Das Thakur is advising. And Krishna will be pleased. Our innermost desires. We have the outer ones, the temporary ones, the covering ones, the contaminated consciousness ones. And then we're all here because there's this innermost desire for each of us, something that's very deep and profound. And this Maha Mantra helps one fulfill, not by our effort, but by Krishna's being pleased. And then gradually, according to our attentiveness, he fulfills those innermost desires. So we have a fantastic opportunity. Let us all take shelter of the holy name, and wherever I like this image, it's wherever we are, if we absorb ourselves in the holy name nicely, then we'll see Krishna within everything, because Krishna is everything. Everything is from him. The lotus feet of Krishna have uniquely lotus flowers. There are all of these items shown at the feet of Krishna. There's one item in both feet, and that's the lotus. So we're meditating on, in the humble mood, just as Sri Vrindavan was explaining, the lotus feet, in the humble mood, the lotus feet of Krishna. So I wish you all a happy journey in your shelter taking of Krishna today. We're in Krishna's hands. We don't know what it's going to be like. And be ready for whatever Krishna wants, because that's what it's going to be like anyway. So take shelter of him. Extend your faculty of awareness and attentiveness to him with a clear appeal. May my contaminated consciousness, although I'm quite fallible and limited, there is this desire to be in your association, in your service, in your shelter. Please bring me closer to you. May my relationship with you become more firmly established. And however strong the desire is, the experience may be, smooth or may be bumpy. But Krishna will hear that appeal as you're calling his name and Radha's name in this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So I'll remind you, please observe Mona Vrata as we go forward during the day. Includes the big test as soon as we stand up. So be focused, be in a prayerful mood, and happy travels on the path to Krishna. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Gaur Premanandi.